let's get into this Dwight Howard, Royce Reed, Cam Newton, and J.R. Smith in the mix. So we know Cam Newton has a podcast. He is heavily into the pod life right now, also on ESPN. He recently had Dwight Howard's ex-girlfriend, who is the mother of his oldest son. I believe the son is 17 now. Right, time goes fast. And so Royce and Dwight have had a contentious relationship from the jump, from her initially being pregnant. She became pregnant at the time. I don't know if you guys recall. Dwight, when he initially came into the league, was very religious, spoke heavily about God, abstaining, things of that nature. And we are no longer at that point with Dwight Howard. We have been through a lot of things. You know, Dwight has several children. And if you've been paying attention, there have been rumors about Dwight and his sexuality for quite some time. There was a few lawsuits that were settled that came out, and Dwight did an interview basically saying, who I go to bed with is no one's business. And, you know, I'm going to do what I do. But people read the filings, and he did have a relationship with a transgender woman of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. So there it is. That's the business. However, Royce and Dwight have had a lot of legal situations throughout the years, non-disclosure agreements. Mm-hmm. There were, you know, they couldn't speak on each other publicly. Royce was not allowed to mention Dwight's name when she was on Basketball Wives and so forth. But I guess because they have reset up some rules to their co-parenting situation and some other things, the original gag order is no longer in place. And so Dwight has recently announced he's engaged to a reality star. I think her name is Amy Luciano. Mm-hmm. They actually are working on a rap song together because Amy's a rapper, and they're going to drop a kind diss record, from what I'm understanding, together. That's neither here nor there. When Royce was on Dwight's show, Dwight very pointedly asked her, point blank period, Cam asked Royce if Dwight was gay, and to go into some details, and Royce did. She basically went in. During it, the show was entitled The Dark Side of Dwight Howard, and she divulged details allegedly about his sexual history, some personal things that she's alleging happened to his and his sister when they were young. And, you know, Dwight's response was a lot of snakes in this game that would do anything for views when they are broke. Now, remember, Cam was recently on, I think it's Command Force, where he was discussing how Cam has 8 children, and he mentioned how he can't take care of them the same. He clarified later on his podcast and said he wasn't saying that he was broke, but when he was in the NFL, he was getting $1 million a week in season, and there's nothing that he could do currently that is going to have him earn that type of money. So in the conversation with Royce, he said that for years the media has painted Royce as the crazy one, but now she's sharing, her personal experience about that. So J.R. Smith left a comment under one of the clips and was like, "This is corny. Corny is the word of the night, I see. And that why would you want to tear another black man down like this? Doesn't make sense." And listen, I am here for the truth. I am here for these conversations. But at this point with Dwight, I feel like we've kind of been through this, and it is what it is. She really isn't revealing anything in a way that I feel is productive.
Well, here's why I disagree. The lines were crossed on several planes. One, you know, Cam Newton doing that to expose, because everybody doesn't know Dwight's history. Some people don't even follow Dwight Howard beyond his basketball stuff, right? And even when he was playing ball, the latter part of his years, people forgot he was even in the league.
Because he sort of became a journeyman, even though he's probably a first ballot Hall of
Famer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's a nice guy. Like, if you ever met Dwight Howard, one of the nicest guys. I remember covering him while he was here with the Lakers that year they won the chip, and one of the nicest guys to the media that you can come across. And so I think she was wrong, because even if certain people may have suspected or maybe even quote unquote known, everybody didn't know until you opened up your big fat mouth and decided to spill all the tea and burn people with hot coffee. I think when you look at, I'm sure he told her some of those things in confidence, regardless if there was a gag order or not. There's a thing called decency and decorum. And I think she's definitely, as my man Dave Chappelle would say, a habitual line stepper, because she definitely stepped over the line quite a few times.
I mean, I think that there were some things that she said in that interview that were totally unnecessary. But in their contentious situation, Dwight has done things to her and put her in position and sued her and things of that. I think they both could do with some therapy as it relates to their relationship.
But since we're talking about her and Cam Newton, I think if we're specifically talking about her and Cam Newton, I'm going to say she was wrong, because there's a lot of things she could have kept to herself.
I totally.
Cam, and I agree with J.R. Smith. Cam did this for ratings, and to me, what was the purpose of you doing this? Do you have a personal beef with Dwight Howard, low key? Because to me, why would you go out of your way to ensure that this man gets brought down, torn down? I mean, Dwight Howard's absolutely right. I don't care who he sleeps with, as long as it's consensual and it's over the age of 18.
Correct.
As long as you do that and it's not a criminal act, I don't care who you go to sleep with. That's your business between you and your God. My thing is, what is the purpose of doing this at this time? This man is trying to get back in the NBA because if you go on his lives, he's been talking, saying that, hey, Lakers, Nuggets, I'm available. Like, hey, I still can play. Because remember, he just came back from being overseas in China, or I forgot whatever country it was, him playing basketball overseas to showcase he was still in shape. So, I think this is a terrible moment. I'm gonna put a pin in
you. So, as far as Royce and Cam and Dwight, I do think Cam was being a little clickbaity. But here's the thing. I understand, as I just noted, we're in these YouTube streets, man. We're in these streets out here connecting and having conversations, right? I think that there is a better way that he could have had that conversation. I think that there is a better way that he could have approached opening it up. Because right now, it just feels like, it was just, let me bring her on for the controversy.
I think there may be some low key. I mean, Cam came off like Walter Hayton, and
Walter Hayton.
I think there may be a little personal beef between those two that we don't know about. Because
you think so?
I mean, why would you go out of your way
to embarrass him,
to try to embarrass this dude? And he's not even popular anymore,
right? And the thing is, like, they both have multiple kids, right? Like, Dwight has a lot of kids, Cam has a lot of kids. Cam has endured his fair share,
and there's been some questions about Cam too. Let's not get it twisted. Out here dressing like Chicken George. Let's not get it twisted.
Cam has, he's trying to make it do what it do. And I understand it. It's a tricky thing. Shannon Sharp got some of the same feedback, but I think the difference is how they handle it within the interview. Neither one of them are journalists. Let's start there.
Exactly.
So I don't have the same expectation of them that I would, but I do have an expectation of them. I'm not saying I don't have any and that it should slide, but I don't necessarily have the same expectation when I'm looking at them as I would from someone else.
Well, here's the thing. Shannon handles it differently, right? When you watch Club Shay Shay, right, and Shannon came out profusely and said, I'm not a journalist. I'm here to entertain. Right. I'm here to ask the questions that people want to know, and we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. If that's not your flavor, there's other places you can go. That's basically what he's been saying.
Right.
And the thing about it is how you handle it. But I don't think Shannon goes out of his way to say, I'm going to embarrass this guy over here. Not even Skip Bayless, who tried to embarrass him when he was on Fox.
Right.
Right? he still maintained a certain level of decorum when he could have went in. He could have went no Vaseline, hit him up style on Skip Bayless. And he had every right to do that, by the way. But he chose not to.
Put your glasses back on. That was crazy.
But Cam is not that kind of person. Listen, I like Cam. I think Cam has caught a lane, and it's great that he's on ESPN. He got an opportunity to be on ESPN once a week. I always said I think Cam should be on more than once a week just because of his football acumen. But I think also, too, you got to learn it. Hey, man, at some point, you got to draw a line. I mean, yeah, we all in this for clickbait. We all in this for entertainment, sensationalism, because that's the world that we live in these media streets. But at the same time, be careful because it could come back to bite you later on. Maybe not right now, but years later, somebody may find some information on you that you don't want to get out from one of your baby mamas.
Right. And I just...
Cam Newton.
Like I said, I do know that his relationship with Royce has been very contentious for 17 years, basically, back and forth into court. We saw some aspects of it on Basketball Wives. You know, she couldn't say his name. But, I mean, he went the legal route, which a lot of people did. But I will say there were several people that were on Basketball Wives, not just Royce, where they could not say the player's name.
Yeah.
They couldn't even say the team's names. If they only said the cities. They couldn't say, because the NBA was like, nope, you're not selling our brand. And it continues. There's a new Netflix show that has Chad Ochocinco's fiance on it, Wags to Riches. It has Rick Ross's baby's mama on it.
Oh,
Stormy.
so that's what that's about.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
read the email. See how much I don't be reading emails like that.
Yeah, so we can get into a little bit of that story.